everybody. My name is Jonathan Jones. It's my pleasure, my privilege to be your host and moderator for the afternoon and the evening, as we just said, depending on where you are. We're excited about what we're going to be presenting. Last week, we covered part 1 of slowing the aging process down. And if we could stop that clock, I think every single one of us would like to do that, but we can't. But we can do something about slowing it down and reducing the ravages of it. And that's where Dr. Kedar Prasad has decided not to just sit back on his thumbs and hope something happened. He put pen to paper and his microscope and his knowledge. He really unleashed something major on us and has published a paper that I think that eventually the world will take notice. I was talking to Dr. Nakuzi just yesterday about what Dr. Prasad has done, and I shared with him a sound clip of what Dr. Prasad said on one occasion. Dr. Prasad said, "I just don't get why folks are not doing more clinical studies on multiple antioxidants and why they're just using a single one." And Dr. Nakuzi interrupted me. He says, "Tell him the reason why is because it works." We're very fortunate that we have the gentleman who's looking for something that actually works. We're very fortunate to have that at our fingertips and at our disposal right now. So we're going to be talking about slowing down aging. And this is the gentleman that I'd like to formally introduce to you now. This is Dr. Kedar Prasad. Dr. Prasad was professor at the University of Colorado School of Medicine for 30 years. And if we stopped right there, that would be enough to introduce this professor to our discussion. And but keep in mind, folks, now, as you're hearing what Dr. Prasad is saying, he's not telling you what a medical doctor would be telling us. He's the guy who taught doctors. He's the guy who the doctors went to school to learn from. So Dr. Prasad is presenting just the science. He's just presenting the scientific facts for us. He was a former president of the International Society of Cancer and Nutrition, member of the British Society of Medicine, Nobel Peace Prize nominating committee member in the candidates in medicine. That's probably the most major thing that we're staring at right there. They just don't extend that invitation to any old body. But beyond that, he became the world's first radiation biology PhD. He finished a 7-year course in 3.5 years. He just knock it on out the way. Let's just get this out the way. His products have been awarded 7 U.S. patents in the field of micronutrients. So he could be considered the godfather of micronutrient research. He discovered the anti-cancer potency of vitamin E succinate. And listen to me carefully. If you're going to be putting vitamin E in your body, you might as well, know something about the fact that there's more than one kind. And if the kind you're going to be taking, how about the one that just, oh, by the way, happens to kill some cancer cells while it's at it? That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? But Dr. Prasad went on, and he's credited with many other things, and not the least of which is the fact that he's been published 250 times, and he has authored 32 books. His most recent book, this is just a snapshot of some of his books, but the most recent one here is entitled Dementia Memory Loss: How to Prevent and Improve Treatment. I would highly recommend that you take a screenshot of this page right here, folks, and follow that QR code. It'll take you straight to Amazon, where you can find Dr. Prasad's latest book. It is an educational book written for the public. It provides easy to follow guidelines on how to avoid the risk of memory loss. And as you know, that can be the first sign. The first sign of, what's that again? The first sign of, what is that again? Alzheimer's. My brain boost had to kick in, so I just want to illustrate that. Yeah. But this book also provides recent scientific information on how to reduce the risk of memory loss and how to improve current drug treatment with the help of micronutrients. So, and listen, Dr. Prasad's most recent published paper, there's the theme on the left side of the page. This paper has been published, folks. Published. A micronutrient mixture with collagen peptides, probiotics, cannabidiol, and diet may reduce aging and development and progression of age-related Alzheimer's disease and improve its treatment. That's a published paper. That's not a document written by Engage Global, that's a document written by Professor Prasad, Dr. Kedar Prasad. And it's my pleasure, my privilege to formally introduce and invite Dr. Prasad to the fore in this discussion. Dr. Prasad, thank you very much for your brilliance and what you bring to the table, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's a great pleasure, and I'm always there to answer any question, to help, and to present some of the recent information. And so it is my pleasure.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I want to just warn everybody now, strap in. If you're the kind of person that eats popcorn or nuts, get your thing, because this is not going to be this is not a quickie thing. This is education. And what we're presenting here today, we're going to get as much information out of Dr. Prasad as we can. This is not just going to be some little fast, quick sell kind of a thing. Our topic is aging and improving the effectiveness of drugs in Alzheimer's disease. This is part 2 of last week's discussion. We could have broke this up into 4 parts, in my opinion, but Dr. Prasad divided it up into 2 parts. And please keep in mind that this is not to be considered a substitute for a visit to your primary health care physician. The FDA has not evaluated these statements. Testimonials that you will hear are anecdotal. Results are atypical. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Dr. Prasad, myself, Jonathan Jones, Engage Global, not making any claims that MicroDaily or any of the other Engage Global products will treat or cure any disease. And again, Dr. Prasad is a scientist. He's presenting the science. So we're very fortunate to have that. So I want to make sure we got that out of the way, Dr. Prasad. So tell us, please, part 2 of our discussion. Continue, sir.
Okay. First, just briefly about the aging, that how process goes when you grow older. So there are many cellular events or cellular damage occurs, different types during aging. And one agent cannot take care of all those events at the same time. And therefore, that's why the title of my paper is long. That's the longest title I ever written. And the reason is because these are because they affect certain cellular process that cannot be improved by just one agent, say, for example, micronutrient or antioxidant. So as we discussed, so for aging phenomena, you have to consider all these that we have in the title to reduce the risk of developing any chronic health condition. And so you may not prolong the life, but what life you will have good quality life. This is what we want.
Right.
We don't want to live. We may live more than right now. The average age of the United States is 78 years old. We may, if you are good, take care of all these things, we may push to 90, 95. But the important point that I was impressed that because of these ingredients that we have developed, it will improve the quality of the life while you are aging. This is very important.
That makes perfect sense.
Right now, 87% of the people have at least one disease.
Right.
77% have at least 2 diseases. So, but that's why the aging process is complex, and therefore my thing is that one cannot take care of just one micronutrient alone, for example. Here is the question is, what happens during aging? Some people at the age of 65, they acquire what is called dementia. And as you know, dementia is very terrible. The question, once we know why it is happening, then we can address that issue. And we know why it is happening from the science. This article presents evidence to show that increased oxidative stress due to production of excessive amount of free radical initiate subsequent cellular damage that we discussed last time that are associated with aging and Alzheimer's disease. And it is also well established that oxidative damage to the cell, if not fully repaired, the chronic inflammation occurs. And these two are very important for it. These are also common to aging as well as the Alzheimer's disease. So if you affects one, you will also affect the other. This is the common. Oxidative stress and chronic inflammation are the common cellular damage during aging, as well as age-related. I just picked up Alzheimer's as one example. Could be age-related Parkinson's disease. Could be age-related some other other diseases. So this is very important. And here is why we are concerned about that in brain. The brain found out that brain uses about 20% of the respired oxygen at rest. Like right now, I'm using 20% of the oxygen that and so you compared to other organs, brain uses much more oxygen because it has to need to generate energy much more than many other organs.
Wow.
And this is very important to remember. And it takes 20%, and 98% are used to generate energy. 98%. So it is almost fully used for. And then what happens? That's very nice. But what happens? Then mitochondria is the one which is responsible for taking the oxygen, generating energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens? The free radicals are formed as a byproduct. Anytime anybody, whether it's a retina, eye, any organ, whenever they use oxygen for varieties of reasons, byproduct is free radicals. Then at the same time, very interesting, even though mitochondria themselves produces these free radicals, they themselves are very sensitive to free radicals. So if you don't take care of that, the mitochondria will get damaged. And when mitochondria get damaged, then it becomes much more free radicals are being produced.
Oh my goodness.
They are not fully utilizing the oxygen for generating energy. And so increased oxidative stress also induces mitochondrial dysfunction. And in Alzheimer's disease, this is one of the main reasons they say is associated with Alzheimer's disease, because mitochondria is dysfunctional, is not functioning well, not using oxygen to generate sufficient amount of energy for the need of the brain to function.
Wow. So that can lead to something that they call the fatigue diseases, like chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and all of those things.
Yeah. Because sometimes, damage could occur, not, pathological damage, because that takes time to eventually a neuron will die. But it is very important what you mentioned it, that it happens. It happens.
Wow. That is incredible.
So this is very important because this is nobody has proposed this idea. You have to remember, they have listed all this. They have done an excellent job of identifying the damage which are produced during aging and during the development of Alzheimer's disease. But nobody has said which comes first.
Right.
So and then you say that, well, if you try to take care of the later stage of the damage, that you may not be very successful.
That's right.
So the question is, does the oxidative stress initiate subsequent cellular damage? This is very important. This is the first time anybody has proposed this idea that the oxidative stress is the first cellular damage that initiate all subsequent damage.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. And so if you take care of this, you will have some, because there is some other unique feature that we will discuss later on.
It's amazing, Dr. Prasad, because we talk about free radical damage all the time and oxidative stress, but now you're basically intimating here that our own bodies can cause us to age faster than we would like. We're doing it to ourselves if we're not doing something to ameliorate the situation.
Yeah, if you don't take care of reduce oxidative stress, yes.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And it is happening all the time, when you are, for example, body, when you are metabolizing your food, they need oxygen to generate some changes. And they also, not only mitochondria, but also in the liver, there is a cytochrome oxidase. Every organ has some other than mitochondria, but most of the free radicals are generated by mitochondria, wherever the cell, all cells have a mitochondria anyway. And
Right.
so it is very important, but brain becomes much more sensitive
Right.
because it produces so much. And at the same time, main what they call organelle, mitochondria, is not producing only free radicals, but they themselves are very sensitive to damage. So if you don't take care right away, you will impair mitochondrial function. You will impair.
That's why glutathione is so important, because glutathione can move the oxyradicals and free radicals out of the mitochondria as quickly as possible. So if you're not doing that, oh, wow, that's amazing, Dr. Prasad.
Yeah. Now it is another one that now then you can say that what other way oxidative stress can occur? Oxidative stress occur also due to micronutrient deficiency. And if you have a poor deficiency of micronutrient, even one, it can cause dysfunctional immune function. Then you become very sensitive to all kind of infection, bacteria, viruses. So micronutrient deficiency come from the food. If you are not taking a good kind of food, or if you are not taking a micronutrient supplement, then you will have a micronutrient deficiency, and that can cause deficiency in immune function, that can cause impaired immune function.
Yes, sir.
Increased oxidative stress, now autophagic function, also impair autophagic function. What is autophagic? It is the combination of a organelle there, enzymes and so on, but main function of autophagy is to remove the damaged particles, damaged protein, damaged DNA in the cell. Because if they don't remove, cell will die or would not function very well. So autophagy function in our all cells, brain cell or liver cell, they are there within the cell, and their main job is to take care of removing the and autophagy function is also, for example, macrophages sent by the immune function. They also perform. They remove the dead cells and so on and so forth just by engulfing them. So this is very important that the increased oxidative stress also disturbs or impairs the function of autophagy system in our cell.
Yeah, it's like self-cannibalism, just getting rid of that stuff and recycling it.
Yeah, recycling. If you don't have that function, they cannot remove, then cell cannot remain healthy. They can't remove it. You can see how important oxidative stress is.
Yep.
Increase also stress increases the rate of telomere loss. Now you can say, what is telomere? This is, people have must written many, including I have published paper on this one, that how micronutrient can help. Telomere is, you have a chromosome in the cell, and on the top of the chromosome, they have a DNA sequence. So every time cell divides, one particle gets, one small segment gets lost. Every time cell divides it. And then when all telomere is lost, cells stop dividing and then they die. So this is a phenomenon of aging. Telomere is a must. So what happens when you have increased oxidative stress? The rate of loss. So now you have larger segment, more frequently, they get lost.
Wow.
And some data exists that micronutrient can reduce the rate of loss of telomere. So telomere, and without telomere, your chromosome will fuse and cell will die. So it is very important. Telomere perform very important function. Keep the cell in their right side. And when they divide, make sure they don't go weird way to division. So telomere is extremely important for aging, because this is very unique of telomere. Telomere loss does not occur in Alzheimer's. It is very unique of aging. And this is very, very important, because if you rate of loss of telomere, the cell becomes old very quickly and they die.
Wow. Slow that one down. Keep your telomeres.
Yeah,
very
telomere
good. What about
and now increase oxidative stress also impair the capacity of DNA to prepare the damage. so repair the capacity of DNA. So increased oxidative stress also impair the DNA repair capacity.
Wow.
And again, if the DNA can't repair the damage, then the cell eventually will die. So you can see how much increased oxidative stress does to our system on many other criteria.
Wow. Wow. Over and over and over again, this whole concept of oxidative stress
Yes.
keeps popping up again and again and again. So important.
Yeah. And even in, that here is unique. Loss of collagen and elasticity is unique of aging. It doesn't happen in aging. You don't care about aging. It happens unique. This is unique function of aging.
Wow.
So, but here also, loss of collagen occurs, has nothing to do with Alzheimer's disease, but increased oxidative stress also increases the activity of collagenase and elasticase, which gradually decrease both collagen and elastin as we age. And you can see that, my skin is getting old.
Oh yeah, we start
loss of
wrinkling, Dr.
collagen.
Prasad.
It is because of loss of collagen. And why you can say aging process?
Yeah.
The loss of collagen occurs because the enzyme which destroys them increases because of increased oxidative stress.
Yep, and that's why we keep telling folks about that enzyme inhibitor that you put in there. Could you just for the sake of simplifying this one, because a lot of this is very technical for folks, can you just tell us a little bit here about this beta amyloid issue?
Yeah.
Directly connected to Alzheimer's.
What happens in Alzheimer, that there is a protein called amyloid precursor protein.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, they use a very tiny amount of beta amyloid. Mostly they use what is called alpha amyloid, which is soluble and get degraded. But when the enzyme, so the enzyme gamma secretase is the enzyme that cleaves or breaks up the large APP or amyloid precursor protein into a smaller fragment called beta amyloid.
Mm-hmm.
And why gamma secretase suddenly increase? Because you have not taken care of oxidative stress.
Wow.
If you have increased oxidative stress, you will have increased the activity of gamma secretase, which will break down the large APP molecule protein to beta amyloid form.
Wow. That's beside it just gets scarier and scarier every time we look around here with this with what's happening to our brain. That's just unnerving. And you breaking it down for us. You know exactly what's happening. That's incredible.
Yeah. And the last one was that amyloid, of course, when they get when they get aggregated, you have too many, then they start aggregation, and that causes toxicity. That kills the nerve cell, which are responsible to storing your memory, cholinergic neuron. That's
directly related to memory then, and memory loss.
Directly related to memory. And hyperphosphorylation was also very important, the last one. That there is another protein called tau protein, TAU, tau, and they get highly phosphorylated. And this is a technical term, but they participate in progression. And increased oxidative stress prevent this protein to become hyperphosphorylated. So even progression stage, the oxidative stress is responsible for increasing the hyperphosphorylation of tau protein. Tau protein naturally is very important for neuron function. Mm-hmm. But when it gets hyperphosphorylated, they start causing damage to the nerve cell.
Wow. And this is all taking place inside our brain, whether we are aware of it or not.
Especially for Alzheimer, brain, as you know, Jonathan, there are many types of neuron, but the neuron that we are discussing with respect to Alzheimer is called cholinergic neuron. And cholinergic neuron is the one which makes a molecule called acetylcholine. Mm-hmm. And acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter, and all the memory of recalling capacity are stored in this molecule within cholinergic neuron.
Oh, wow.
Very important. Now, here are some similarity and some uniqueness
of aging and Alzheimer's disease. The common cellular defect of aging include increased oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, autophagy defect, and gut dysbiosis, means disturbance in intestinal flora in favor of a toxic bacteria. That is called dysbiosis, means
Yes,
dysbiosis. Gut biosis means the disturbance in intestinal flora in favor of harmful bacteria.
I see. So to be clear, this is what
common to all.
This
Both
is what
aging and
Alzheimer's
aging.
disease and Alzheimer's disease have in common.
Common.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
Okay.
so if you take care of these things that might be mentioned, then at least you remove some of the common phenomena. But now there are some unique of aging. Unique cellular defect of aging includes impaired, what is that function? Loss of collagen, impaired immune functions, loss of collagen and elastin, impaired DNA capacity to repair, and shortening of the telomere.
Okay, what you just covered.
Unique. Yeah, these are unique of aging.
Okay.
Include impaired immune function, loss of collagen and elastin.
I see.
Impaired DNA capacity to repair, and shortening of telomere. These are not shared by Alzheimer's disease.
It's not Alzheimer's. This is just aging by itself. Okay.
By itself. Well, what is unique feature of AD? They include increased production of amyloid, a smaller protein from big protein, and hyperphosphorylation of tau protein, and changes in behavior. This is also very important, which happens in Alzheimer's disease.
I got you.
But not during aging.
I got you. Well, some people.
So now the question arises this is the thing we have made. The question arises whether it is possible to develop a biological strategy which will reduce both common and unique cellular defects associated with the aging process and development and progression of AD at the same time. Progression. This article that we wrote suggests that this is possible to do both unique cellular feature and common. We can do that by, then you will see that with the title, it becomes very obvious how to do it. But we will explain.
But no one has ever written a paper on this
like
this before.
No, because nobody has suggested this. And has to, when they do, they list all defects. But the question is, what are the common, what are the unique? Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
And you can see that there are a whole bunch, at least hundreds of papers have been written, on aging and antioxidant. And because people were always worried about aging, as you know. But they always try single antioxidant.
Yeah. Or to take a sailboat or a boat across the Atlantic Ocean and try to find the fountain of youth, something that you can drink and it's all over with.
Yeah. So, but a single antioxidant cannot enhance the activities of antioxidant enzyme like glutathione peroxidase, catalase, and superoxide dismutase, as well as the dietary endogenous antioxidant and what antioxidant our body makes it. One antioxidant cannot do it. And therefore, you can't expect any help in aging or in the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. And one thing can do it.
Wow. This is the reason why GSH by itself is insufficient. That's the reason why.
It's amazing. But, all the clinical study, still they do 1 micronutrient at a time.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Now, there's another problem here using antioxidant as a single agent. Because all this during aging, if you are not doing anything during aging, we have high oxidative stress. You have Alzheimer's disease, they have high oxidative stress and inflammation. A single antioxidant in the presence of high oxidative environment like we have during aging or in a disease, a single antioxidant will be oxidized
in the presence of high oxidative environment, and then act as a pro-oxidant, like free radicals, rather than as an antioxidant.
Right. Not good
This
enough.
has been known for so long. This is not my discovery. This has been known forever.
Wow.
Still, people don't pay attention to.
But that's the reason why they discredit this kind of research, is because they
Yes.
found that one could be potentially harmful.
Yeah.
Never thought to the fact that a plethora of them, a variety of them, could be the Holy Grail.
And actually, that, as you know, the publication was from Harvard on beta carotene among heavy smoker. Just one beta carotene.
Yeah.
And of course, it will be oxidized, then will act as a pro-oxidant.
Yeah, not good enough.
But if you are healthy and if we don't have oxidative environment, it will have no effect.
Wow. Incredible. Incredible. But we want to interject one quick story here that illustrates what you've just told us. This goes back some time where one of our affiliates was just expressing her personal experience. In fact, she mentioned in her story, and Nick will cue the video for us. But she mentioned in her story that her family had a history of Alzheimer's, and then she starts telling her story, and it's real short, but she tells her story and gets to this thing about memory. So we're interested in your thoughts on this story or your comment.
My story is not as great as theirs, but I have thyroid issues, and with thyroid issues comes you can't remember the words coming out of your mouth. As they're coming out, you're forgetting what they are. But I noticed when I first started taking just the micro daily, it improved, and then I changed to the methylated, the purple bottle, and one day right after I took it, I felt a little like pop or something. And now I can talk and remember the words coming out of my mouth and even remember more words.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's not Alzheimer's or anything like that. My dad did die from that, but that's all.
Wow. Well, we always thought you were crazy before. That's good, Nick. Thank you.
In this, sometimes, what is called the minimal cognitive impairment. This is, as you grow older and you are not taking care of your oxidative inflammation, first what happens, but between normal aging, you will remember, you forget, and then you later on remember it. But it is not very frequently. That is a normal aging process phenomenon.
Right.
But when it happens frequently that you are forgetting, that means it is a starting what is called MCI, or minimal cognitive impairment. And that, if you don't take care at that stage, that it will develop to full-fledged Alzheimer's disease.
So this could have been an indication of the beginning.
That's what I think. I don't know her age, but whatever the age is, sometimes, if you have a genetic, it can appear earlier.
Wow. So she could have been one of the first persons in our recordings to have benefited from what your paper just suggests. Nutrients could
exactly
that process.
You stop any further development to, that's very, very important to intervene at that stage.
Wow. Well, I think she's heard that today, and she's probably very excited, just like the rest of us are, that we started taking your formula. So
now here the question is how to simultaneously reduce oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. This is a very central issue, what I say. We have suggested many times in a publication that simultaneous elevation of antioxidant enzymes and dietary and endogenous antioxidant compounds like vitamin A, C, E is essential for reducing oxidative stress and chronic inflammation at the same time. This is very important, at the same time.
Right.
A single antioxidant
commonly used in human study cannot achieve this goal. Micro daily EMF would increase the level of antioxidant enzymes by activating NRF2, a nuclear transcriptional factor. Is very important. Also, micro daily EMF at the same time will increase the level of antioxidant compound, such as glutathione, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Yeah.
At the same time, only, as far as I know, only micro daily EMF can do it. There are some herbal products in the marketplace that I have looked into. They claim they are useful because they do only one thing, namely they activate NRF2.
Right.
So only one component of antioxidant defense system that we have, certain herbs that are in the market can do it. But micro daily EMF, they can do increase the antioxidant compound level like vitamin A, C, and E. So EMF, micro daily EMF is the only product in my experience, and I have done a lot of research on this issue, can do both, can enhance the enzyme. And also micro daily EMF would simultaneously reduce oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, improve. Remember, autophagy is very important.
Yeah.
It will improve autophagy function, which are common to both aging and AD, Alzheimer's disease. Both are common. So these two are very common, or three factors: increased oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, autophagy. They all get damaged, oxidative stress. But micro daily can improve all these things at the same time. Now, probiotics with prebiotics that we have in our formula would correct the gut dysbiosis. In other words, would correct dysbiosis, which is common to both aging and aging, by restoring the composition of intestinal flora in favor of beneficial bacteria. Because this is associated with both.
Yep.
It is common. Now, how to reduce cellular defects that are unique of aging process? EMF would improve immune function, DNA repair capacity, and reduce attrition of telomere or loss of telomere, which are unique. So that's very good.
Right.
But in addition to that, we need an additional compound. Is collagen peptides. Collagen peptide with the enzyme inhibitor that we have would restore the loss of collagen and elastin, which are unique of aging.
That's beautiful. That's just beautiful.
And now the question is, how to reduce the cellular defects that are unique of Alzheimer's disease?
So those were the common ones. Now this is unique to Alzheimer's disease by itself.
Yeah. Micro daily EMF and brain boost would reduce beta amyloid production by inhibiting the activity of gamma secretase.
Yep.
And then also it will reduce the toxicity of aggregated beta amyloid. This is very important.
Yeah, not losing neurons.
Yeah. They may also prevent hyperphosphorylation of tau protein, which is participate in the progression of the disease. Then, as you know, that the brain is exposed to high. So we have said that both brain boost. So why brain boost we are giving? Here is why. The brain is exposed to highest level of free radicals. And brain is very rich in membranous structures, like they have axons, dendrites all over the place. And they are very sensitive to free radical damage. However, brain has the lowest level of antioxidant defense system. Therefore, we have provided, for example, additional, more powerful antioxidant than what we have in Alzheimer's disease. There are two, resveratrol and curcumin. Is very important. They are very powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammation. Also, we provided additional amount of coenzyme Q10 and vitamin B3 because when you have protected mitochondria, but they need this additional amount of substrate to generate energy more efficiently. Because if you don't have, you have deficiency of this, then you will produce energy, but not the highest amount. So maximum amount of energy can be produced. And since brain has a very lot of membranous structure, which are very sensitive to free radical damage, we also provided 2 precursor of membrane in brain boost. One is phosphatidylserine and one is phosphatidylcholine. And these 2 are membranous structures, so that when new membranes are formed, we are protected it, and healthy neuron will stay for a long time.
Boy, I'm just loving the sound of that brain boost. Every single time it comes up, there's what it looks like. But we've got one more testimonial that we want to kick in here, Dr. Prasad.
Sure.
This one we shared last week, but we're right here at that point of talking about memory again. So Nick, share that one with us again, because this woman had to Google how to put her wedding rings on.
Sure.
Is that the one you have for us, Nick? Okay, a little technical disturbance in the force.
Okay, that's all right. It happens.
It's coming, though. It's coming. That's the one you have, Nick, or no? Oh, okay, go ahead.
Oh, here we go.
When I met Beth years ago, she was so sick. I didn't know what to think. I thought she was leaving here. And when I reached out to her on behalf of someone else's loss, she sounds so good. And she started telling me about the products. When I spoke with her, I was so impressed. And I couldn't sleep. But when I started taking the products, I noticed with taking the hydro, I had so much energy. I felt so much better. And for me, in 2020, I had a stroke. I wasn't able to work. I had so much brain fog. Anytime I drove, I would get lost. I would have to have people to help me in the conversation so that I would know exactly where I was in the conversation. But now we're taking the brain boost, the hydro, the eye products. I am so excited. I can speak to anyone, hold conversation. I can go any place I want to. I'm loving what God has put before us. Knowledge and wisdom that God has given man to bless us to have these products. I'm thankful for every testimony. I'm thankful for how good Beth looks, how she feels, and how she's caring about other people so that they can feel as good as she does. And I'm telling you, previously, months ago, I couldn't have a conversation like this. I would not know where I was in the conversation. I constantly had to call my husband and tell him I'm lost, I'm out, I'm lost. I don't know where I'm at. And this is places that I've driven for years. I even Googled one time how to put my wedding rings on. I forgot how to put them on. I'm so thankful, Jeff. Thank you so much for all that you've done. Thankful for this opportunity to share with other people that need to hear that God has something that will bless us.
Dr. Prasad.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That's extreme.
Amazing.
And yet your formula, you're writing about it here, but here's people who are actually finding out that their memory capacity is affected by
Yeah.
your combination. So this is not just theory.
Yeah, so that's a good story. And again, I'm very happy to find that whatever we are saying is coming true, and it is going to be more and more. Because if you know the biology, what is happening within the cell, within the neuron, within the brain, any place, then you can take care of that with known problem. But you can't do with one,
Right.
because this is a many factorial.
Wow.
And here is the now let us see somebody has a Alzheimer's disease already, whether it is a acquired or genetic makes no difference. So what they do, that the main objective right now for the treatment is to increase the level of acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter, is a small molecule, tiny molecule, present only in a cholinergic nerve cell, acetylcholine. And they store the memory. And so the idea is that if you increase their level by drug, because in Alzheimer, they go way down. And but for that to have, your neuron has to be alive. So they use a cholinesterase inhibitor, the enzyme which degrades or destroys acetylcholine. So if you use inhibitor of that enzyme, and there are a couple of them, then acetylcholine won't be destroyed in this cell, and they will get higher level. And then your memory will be restored, or you will remember it. And so this is important concept. This idea was good, but for this, nerve cell has to be alive so that you can increase the acetylcholine. There is another drug called xenomyelin. This is a stimulator. In this way, increase the synthesis of acetylcholine by stimulating the muscarinic receptor, which are present on the neuron surface.
But still assuming that the neurons are alive.
Yeah, as long as neuron is alive, then you can increase it. But here is the problem of current therapy, and everybody knows it. The effectiveness of current drug in improving memory depends upon the viability of cholinergic neuron. Neuron has to be alive. These drugs do not reduce either oxidative stress and inflammation, which are the main causes of the death of cholinergic neuron. So none of these drugs take care of that. Therefore, the effectiveness in improving the memory by these drugs that are being used on the average lasts for only 3 months. And after that, if all neurons are gone, cholinergic neuron is gone, then these drugs, there is no place there is no acetylcholine to increase. Neuron has to be alive to increase the acetylcholine.
Oh my goodness, that's horrible.
This is amazing, and this is so common. Why they are dying, everybody knows why they are dying. But so here the proposed suggestion how to improve or prolong, in this case, the beneficial effect of drug in the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. Microdaily EMF and brain boost would reduce the production of beta amyloid by inhibiting gamma secretase activity, which generates beta amyloid, toxic protein. And then aggregated beta amyloid causes death of the cholinergic neuron by, this is very important that many times people miss it. You can say how aggregated beta amyloid causes death of neuron, because last step again is generating free radicals. And this was demonstrated by very famous scientist, was a friend of mine, Dr. Schuker. He from in San Diego. He treated this neuron cell in culture and put a beta amyloid. They got all killed. Then he treated the cell with vitamin E and amyloid protein. No cell will die.
Oh wow!
So he proposed the idea. Even the last stage, you can prevent the death of neuron by micronutrient.
Wow.
So we say that microdaily EMF and brain boost would protect cholinergic neuron by reducing toxic effect of aggregated beta amyloid
and in combination with drugs will prolong the efficacy or beneficial effect of drug therapy in Alzheimer's disease.
Incredible. Incredible.
It's
What a
just simple.
concept.
It's just simple. Then it is again, this is uniqueness of Alzheimer's disease, is abnormal behavior. The patient with Alzheimer's disease show changes in behavior which include anxiety, depression, apathy, aggression, agitation, sleep disturbances, and psychosis, hallucination, delusion, these kind of things. And current use drug is Prozac and Zoloft is useful, but may have a adverse side effect.
Yeah.
But CBD or cannabidiol has been shown to improve the above symptom with no toxicity. Therefore, it is recommended together with microdaily EMF and brain boost in the treatment of AD. So
That's
also
wonderful.
include this to protect it. And one of the classical drug that it is a prescription drug, which is called a inhibitor of serotonin reuptake, because they prevent the reuptake so that if you get uptake by cell, then they will be destroyed by neuron inside. So inhibitor. So this is a prescription drug, but it has toxicity. It reduces anxiety and some improves depression, but it has toxicity.
Right.
But CBD does exactly the same thing.
No
CBD
toxicity.
act as a inhibitor of reuptake of serotonin. And serotonin, as you know, it calms you down, you feel good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love that. I take 1 or 2 of those every single night. Practically puts me in a coma, Dr. Prasad. I just absolutely love it. Can we do this, Dr. Prasad? We got a few minutes.
Sure.
Can we now just take maybe 1 or 2 questions, and then we'll come back and let you conclude this discussion?
Sure.
And we also have one person that's here live right now that may also have an Alzheimer's story that they can share with us. So Pam, Pam DeVoe was the first hand that went up. So go ahead.
Okay.
Pam.
Good afternoon, Dr. Prasad, Jonathan, and everyone. So I heard you, Dr. Prasad. So someone had full Alzheimer's. They just existed. And so she got the whole Prasad package. I think the only thing that she didn't get was Ibus at the time. And
this is one of your customers, one of your customers?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So after taking the product for about, thinking him, he started to knock his head to the TV.
Okay, hold on.
He could not do.
I got to back you up because we didn't quite hear that. You said that after taking the product, his medication was knocking his head on the table?
No. He was moving his head to the TV. In other words, I think some music was on. And so he started to move his head, and this was, like I said, only 12 hours. Right. He was responding. So, and he's still doing that, but his wife decided to not get the product. And as I told her, because she, saw it, but then she wasn't seeing any, increase, like, nothing else was happening. So what she did was she stopped taking it, giving him everything. So my question to you is, because I tried to tell her, like you say, Jonathan, you want to address the inflammation, like chronic. He's very chronic to me. So I told her to triple up, but she says, well, he only takes a certain amount. So she'll give him like 1 and 1 and 1. So my question to you is, because I know what the product does, is it because she has slowed down almost to the point of stopping him on the nutrients? I believe that's why his brain has not responded like I know it could, because my husband, is doing well with it. And so I just want to ask you that so I can tell her. I know the answer to it, but I want to hear your expertise on it.
Jonathan, can you frame the question for me?
She basically said that her client was getting like 1/3 the correct dose of micro daily and the brain boost, and within 12 hours there was some response. He was responding to stimuli from the television, but the wife stopped it and felt like it was no need to go further because she didn't think it was any improvement. So her question is, would taking more potentially help?
Yeah, I think so. The dose that you recommended is very important to remember. And if she has some difficulty in taking capsule, I have always suggested that content easily open and put in a yogurt and then eat it. But you have to, these are chronic disease. You have to try at least 90 days, the dose that we are recommending it, not 1/3. 1/3, I'm surprised that even you got something.
Any response at all, right?
Yeah, any response at all. And so I think I would suggest her to take a regular dose that we recommend and wait 90 days and let Jonathan know how you are doing. And because, if somebody doesn't want to take it, that's a different issue. But for effectiveness, it is important that you have a dose that we have recommended, micro daily EMF, brain boost, and at least in her case, probiotics.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for raising the question, Pam. Gail has a question or comment.
Okay, Dr. Prasad, there was a question in the comments that the person is on the EMF, and I have been on EMF, brain boost, eye boost, and collagen for a couple of years now. Anyway, if they're on the product and they're still experiencing fatigue was one thing, and then also if the micro daily will help to detoxify the body. And as far as the brain boost goes, I mean, I've been on that for a little over 2 years, and I mean, I still have times where my brain will actually like hurts. It's hard to describe, but it's like my brain hurts. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's on overload. So,
wow.
Could you comment?
I think, first I would say that do you take a capsule or you take
Capsules.
do you take capsule? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, sometimes how long you have been taking for a while. So it is
2 years.
Yeah. I would say sometimes absorption could be a problem. And I would say that trying for a month, put the content in something like yogurt and then take it. And still, if your head continue to, then see the neurologist. That means there may be some other reasons that we don't know that micronutrient cannot correct it. But sometimes absorption, is older people. I don't know how old you. Sorry about that. But that sometimes people have absorption, young or old. Doesn't make difference. Intestinal flora, and that's why. Are you taking probiotics?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so I think you will try like that and then see if it helps you any further. And if not, then the brain problem continue to have headache or something, then you should see the neurologist.
Okay. And so what would be if you're still experiencing fatigue? Because I know when I was first on the products, I did get all the energy and all this kind of stuff, but then in the last several months that's subsided. I'm still experiencing fatigue. I
think generally the micronutrient helps in fatigue. That further gives me some idea that maybe it is not being absorbed as fully as you like. And that's why putting in a yogurt, you will absorb very quickly. And then see if all this problem goes away or is still there. You try for a month and let Jonathan or your affiliate let know. I would like to know myself through John.
Yeah.
That how you are doing after you have been on a content rather than a capsule.
Okay. All right. I can try that. And then does it help to detoxify the body at all?
Well, detoxification is an interesting question because we have no data on that one. But
Yeah.
there are two agents there, and dose is high enough. Is a glutathione and N-acetylcysteine. These two are known to be at higher dose, act as
Okay.
a chelator of heavy metal. And
Okay.
so I don't know it is high enough for you to chelate it, but you are taking for 2 years, so you should have been by this time finished
Yeah.
chelating. But again, here is the
Yeah.
absorption problem. If they are not being absorbed, then you
Okay.
may not have the maximum amount of glutathione elevating agent like alpha lipoic acid or N-acetylcysteine. And so your glutathione level may not be up, and even N-acetyl doesn't get absorbed as well as it should. So you try like this and see how you feel.
Okay. Real good. Thank you.
Sure.
And that's a very good comment there too. And Gail, make sure that you're drinking sufficient amount of water. And
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, very important.
yeah,
That's another for toxicity removal.
Yeah.
I would say that I myself drink about 5-6 glasses water a day.
And if she adds exercise, then that could open up the possibility of benefiting even better.
Yeah, I also suggest exercise. I also suggest for everybody, I suggest try to do good diet, lifestyle as much as possible. Don't get too much anxiety, you know.
Well, then why don't you talk about, let's go back to your discussion, Dr. Prasad, and you go ahead and finish telling us about your recommendation on lifestyle changes.
Yeah, diet, we always recommend diet, low fat and high fiber diet with plenty of fruits and vegetables, and take a white meat rather than reduce the red meat eating. And lifestyle changes, we recommend stop tobacco smoking, reduce stress, and daily moderate exercise is very important for 20 minutes walk. Environment, avoid exposure to air pollution is very, very important. And both for Alzheimer's disease and some other like diabetes, and heavy metal like mercury, lead, avoid exposure to pesticide, and also don't go for sun for a long time because they emit a UV radiation, and that can also create a problem. They generate also free radicals, and of course EMF radiation. But see, it's something we can control it. Something we can control it. Despite similar recommendation that we have suggested by federal and private agencies, age-related Alzheimer's disease continue to increase. And why? Because human behavior with respect to diet and lifestyle and environment are very, very difficult to change.
No one wants to restrict their freedom. Everybody wants to do what they want.
Yeah, that's amazing. But we try to say, use as much as you can, and then follow the guideline of micronutrient supplementation. Here is the concluding remark. The proposed suggestion to supplement micro daily EMF, brain boost, collagen peptides, probiotics may provide healthy aging with reduced risk of age-related chronic diseases such as Alzheimer's disease. CBD is recommended only for patients with AD who have exhibits abnormal behavior such as anxiety, depression, agitation, and sleep disturbances and hallucination. So our just bundle that we have, Prasad bundle, they call it. Yeah, here it is. And if you have eye problem, eye boost is also extremely important. Most of the product that you buy in marketplace, eye boost, has a lutein, zeaxanthin, because those two pigments are in our eye. And these two pigments accumulate in the eye a little more than other antioxidant like EMF, antioxidant in EMF. So we said, well, let us see what else can be done to improve it. And we found that eagles, bird, they fly in very high sky and they see the prey on the ground and they pick it up. And so I said, why? Then I found out that they have a third pigment called astaxanthin. And so I said, well, if there is no toxicity of astaxanthin, and there was literature available that astaxanthin accumulates 500 times more than any other antioxidant.
Wow.
And your brain, the retina part of the brain, is highly oxygenated. A lot of oxygen is there. And when there is a lot of oxygen, like in the brain, you also use it for energy, for the brain eye, and generates a lot of free radicals. So astaxanthin accumulates in eye that much and retina, and then the retina get protected, and therefore you improve your eye health condition.
That's a beautiful thing. This is the absolute best bundle, folks, on planet Earth. So it's less than $300. If you buy the bundle, you add the CBD boost to it for a little bit more, maybe just around $300 if you add it all together. But I had a naturopathic doctor say everything you described there was way more than $500. I can't believe it. So she was happy to see that this much power was packed into something so reasonably priced. So for the benefit of our audience, just as a reminder, especially if you didn't make it to the first part of the discussion, take a screenshot of this, please, and make sure you capture this. You can go straight to Amazon and get Dr. Prasad's latest published book on dementia and memory loss. So it's an educational book, and it's written for the public. So it's got easy to follow guidelines, and it also provides recent scientific information on how to reduce the risk of memory loss and how to improve current drug treatment with the help of micronutrients. So if you found yourself maybe struggling to try to keep up, then there it is. Make sure that you get that book. And even if you were able to keep up, this is how you can reference helping someone else and maybe even sharing information with your doctor about why micronutrients would be so valuable. While you're on Amazon, by the way, I recommend you get that book there. Also, Dr. Prasad's book on cancer while it's still available. And for everyone else who's wondering, how do you get these amazing products? Where do you go? Well, just get back to the person who invited you to this discussion, and they will help you to get the product at the most reasonable price. It's available right with Engage Global. You can establish a relationship with Engage Global, and then you can get the discounted price on the product. But get a subscription, folks. So don't just buy a one-off. Get a subscription. You know, the company Engage Global offers a 90-day money-back guarantee on all of the products. So you really cannot go wrong with buying these bundles or any of these products. You just can't go wrong. So, Dr. Prasad, can we take one more question here? Peggy's been trying to get in here for the longest time. So
that's okay. One more question.
This is our last question, folks. So Peggy, Peggy's iPad 65.
Okay, this is Karen and Peggy. As a matter of fact, we're on Freddie's team. And thank you, Dr. Prasad, and thank you so much, Jonathan. We have a question. We have several clients that have been looking at the CBD. The question is, though, because they work offshore, they will be tested highly in their testing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the CBD would show up positive in a drug test. So they might need to consider something else. CBD may not work for them. So if a person's in a situation where they would be tested for drugs, now mind you, there's no THC in the product. So in that case, they would probably have to go to their doctor prescription. And if the doctor writes a prescription for it, they might be able to go to their employer and explain to the employer that the doctor prescribed it, but there's no THC in it. That may be the only path.
And also the CBD is approved by the FDA to be given to patient with seizure. So it is a highly purified, as Jonathan mentioned. There is no trace of THC, but nobody has tested it. As far as we have tested, there is no THC. But whether it will come, the way they test in drug, I don't know. But you can explain to your employee that it's a highly purified and I mean, maybe in a private setting, not through the employer, one can get tested and see, is there anything? Because any kind of drug you take, and if you do it, they will come in urine. Some, but
it won't be THC, which is illegal. And therefore my suspicion is that, if you take in a urine, CBD may show up, but CBD is non-toxic, so it will be okay.
Right. I know folks
All right.
been in that
Thank you.
situation and they got tested, and unfortunately they don't test for THC, they just test for CBD, period. And so that's why they've got to make sure that their doctor has prescribed it and that they discuss that with their employer. So
Right,
but it's completely safe though, Karen and Peggy. So
Okay.
you can put that information
Okay,
on.
thank you.
Okay. So
Okay.
Dr. Prasad,
Yeah,
we can't
Okay,
thank you
thank
enough
you.
for
Thank you.
thank you.
everything that you've shared with us. And listen, folks, next Sunday, Dr. Prasad is coming back, and we're going to be talking about brand new word that they come out with this new word now. They call it diabesity.
Yep.
So,
Diversity.
Dr. Prasad has written books on diabetes. So we're going to be running that down. We're going to see what the master of micronutrients has to say to tackle the diabesity issue, because it is a chronic plague that's affecting the entire United States. In fact, they project Dr. Prasad that is heading toward like 150 million in the next 10, 20 years, right? That will have
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, not only here, in India also, this is people in India think this is a normal things to have, but it is not a normal things to have. It creates all kind of problem. But
That's it.
Hey, Jonathan.
So, yes, sir.
Dr. Prasad, can I ask you one favor?
Sure.
Just one. I know you're ready to leave, and you got 209 people on here, and one person just left their hand up, and you always tell me that you want to bring health to the world, and I don't want that one person to be left over to say, hey, I'm part of the world, and he left me hanging. So could Vickie be your absolute last one? And if you do, when we go down to Mexico in September, I'll take care of something for you to eat.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Bernard.
Vickie, you got one. You got your question here. Vickie, was your story the one shared earlier, Vickie?
Yes, it was.
Dr. Prasad, this is the woman who shared the memory story that we played the recording about the memory.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Vickie.
Yes. Jonathan, I just wanted to tell you thank you for your service and for your sacrifice every Sunday. I'm thankful to bring people on and they're happy and excited about what they hear and they want to order the products. Dr. Prasad, you have been such a blessing for me in my life. When I had that stroke and I was at the hospital, they saw that I had previously already had some damage from something else. And personally, I think I had a stroke in 2018 and didn't know it. So I had damage on top of damage. And these products has set me free. And I can't thank you enough. I can hold any conversation. I was having issues before all of this happened. And I didn't know what was going on, what was happening, because every time I would speak to someone in a conversation, I couldn't remember, or I was in such stagnation that I would, but now I can conversate and I'm so happy, so thankful. I'm doing well. When I went on disability, I couldn't put one foot before the other. I have great balance now since being on the products. I can conversate. I'm happy all the time. I'm walking anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 miles a day. And I'm just doing phenomenal. As a matter of fact, the doctor just took me off of metformin. And also, I had a biopsy this past Monday. They found nothing, but they first told me that my mass has grown from last year. And when he did it, he said, all I could see was this. I thought he was trying to show me a mustard seed. So all of these products, they are phenomenal. And thank you, Dr. Prasad, for helping us, all of us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vickie. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. We appreciate your sharing that story.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, bring us home, Nick. All right, everybody. Thank you all very much again. And Dr. Prasad, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Look forward
And
to
thank you, everybody.
Unmute telling y'all love him. Unmute. He's waiting on
I
that.
can unmute.
Thank you, Bernard.
Everyone
Thank
can
you,
unmute.
Dr. Prasad. You are
Thank you,
absolutely
thank you.
amazing. Amazing.
Okay, I'm going to go cook some food.
Okay, go Yubba. Wow, Jonathan, what an amazing,
Thank you, Dr.
amazing
Prasad. Thank you,
meeting.
Dr. Prasad.